Good afternoon again, guys. As I said, that we're going to focus only on question one and two today. So on this video, I'll be covering question one, which talks about factorizing, simplifying, and this it shouldn't be something that we struggle a lot with. Okay, so let us start. So the first one here, remember, whenever we factorize, we always have our steps that we follow. The first one is that we look for the highest common factor, right? After highest common factor, we are going to look for, if it's a binomial, we're going to look for a dot, right? Difference of two squares. And then if we have three terms, we know we're going to deal with it in a trinomial way. And then if ever we have four terms, then we know it's going to be grouping, right? So now, firstly, let us look at the first one there. So there on the first one, we're going to look if we have anything common between the two terms. So in this case, we have 4x minus x cubed. So between these two terms, we have something which is common. In this case, it is x. So I'm going to take x out. Then we are left with 4 minus x squared, right? So now, looking here inside the bracket, inside this bracket, we have two terms which have a minus. And already we can see that we have a squared here, which is x squared. Can this 4 also be written as a squared? Yes, it can. We can write it as what? 2 squared. And then we have x squared. So now in this case, we have it as what? Difference of two squares. And then we know from there, in difference of two squares, it's quite simple. We have our two brackets. I'm going to have the first two here, the second two there. We have the first x here, the second x there, and then finally I'm going to have minus and plus. Remember, our signs might just be different. That's all it is. So if we want to, we can make this side to be a positive and that side to be a negative. It doesn't really matter in that case. Okay. So that's the first one. Going on to the second one now. On the second one there, we go to our steps again. Quite easy. We're given x squared plus 15 minus um, minus 54. And then now in this case, we're then going to check. Do we have any highest common factor in this case? Nope, we don't have any highest common factor, right? Yes, we have an x here, we have x there, but here we don't have an x, right? So it cannot be, we don't have a highest common factor. Coming to the second one, remember dot is for how many terms? For two terms. In this case, we don't have two terms, we have three terms. So meaning we're going to use a trinomial. So on our trinomial, we know we're going to look for factors of 54 that if we add or subtract, they're going to give us this 15 here, but if we multiply, they give us 54. So let us go through that process quickly. Let me get a calculator. Okay, let us look for those common factors. Um, okay, there we go. So firstly, we know it's 54, we divided by 1, right? It's going to give us 54 times 1. Whenever we multiply this, they give us 54, but whenever we add or subtract, we don't get that much. So we are going to go again and say now 54, we divide it now by 2. And when we divide it by 2, it should give us something like 27. This 27 we multiplied by that 2, right? So it's going to give us, whenever we multiply, we get 54, but when we add or subtract, we don't get this plus 15 that which we want. Let's just write it here. We should get plus 15 when we add or subtract. So what do? We go again. Now we have that 54, but now we divide it by 3, which in this case is going to give us, let's go to our calculator. We say 54 divided by 3 gives us 18. So we know here we have 18 multiplied by 3. Whenever we have, remember we multiply by this, right? So 18 multiplied by 3, it gives us 54. But when we say 18 minus 3, it gives us how much? That 15 that we want there. So meaning we're going to use those two factors that we just got now, which are 3 and 15. So let us open our two brackets. Then we're going to have our x here, the first x, the second x there, our first factor. We have 18, and then our other factor is 3. And then from here, we just check, okay, the bigger factor, it should be the one that carries the positive sign, all right? So we're going to have positive here, and then this side, we're going to have minus because we have a negative there. So that's the end of it, right? So the majority of your work, you do it when you are looking for the factors, but once you have the factors, then everything is sorted, okay? Let us go now to 1.1.3. Let us quickly attend to that. In this case, we are given y minus xy plus x minus 1. Again, in this case, we're going to those steps again. Do we have any highest common factors in this case? No, we don't have any highest common factors in that case, right? Is it a dot? Nope, it's not a dot because a dot, it wants 2 terms. It's not a trinomial because a trinomial wants 3 terms. It is grouping. Why? Because it has 4 terms. So in this case, we're going to open. Remember, whenever we group, we are using a positive, right? So we're going to group this. We put them in here. It's going to be y minus xy. We group with a plus, and then we group those two as well, which is going to be x minus 1. Then we move on to the next step. Looking here at our first bracket, we go back again. Do we have any highest common factors in that bracket? Yes, we do. We have y as a common, right? So if we take y out, we're going to be left with 1 minus x. And then remember, we still group it with a plus. And then this side, we have x minus 1. So now looking at these two brackets, they look a little bit the same, but now the difference is that this one here, it is positive, and that one is negative. The x here is is negative, and the x there is the x here. So again, the x here, it is negative. The x this side, it is positive. So meaning what we need to do is that we perform a sign change rule. And whenever we do that, we do it only on this side. That is where we do it. So then we are going to have y, we have 1 minus x. So we change every sign. Even this one, it was positive, now it's going to be a negative. Then we have 1 minus x. We write it the same way as this bracket. So the brackets should now be the same. So finally, our answer between these two terms, what's common now between these two terms? Is a bracket, right? So we take the bracket out, we have 1 minus x. And then what is it that is not common? Remember, in front here we have a 1, in front there we have a y. So we're going to have that y there, we minus it by 1. And then that's all, guys. Okay, so I just did the first 3. On the next video, I'll be going to 1.2. Thank you.